जनयित्री जय जय विज्ञान साम्राज्य जय जय विद्या जनयित्री।
At the outset, I congratulate all the graduates who have received their degree today. My special greetings to Dr. M.Y.S. Prasad and also the winners of the medals today. I'm happy to be here today on this solemn occasion. Convocation is a significant event in the life of students as well as the institution. For the students, it's a day on which their toil is rewarded by a formal recognition. Such recognition qualifies the students for their onward march in the life, providing a tool in the struggle for existence. An official qualification which might enable them to secure some employment which is essential for eking out livelihood. For the institution, it is an event which signifies the proof of the institution's ability to produce accomplished students. Some of them at some point of time in future might really add to the glory of the institution's ability to enrich the minds of youngsters. Every one of you have that potential. As I understand, the purpose of Convocation address is to apprise the students of their duties and responsibilities to the humanity at large and to caution them about the problems they are likely to encounter once they leave the protected atmosphere of the campus of an educational institution. My dear students, please remember, so long you have been in a protected atmosphere of an educational institution where things are more organized and less erratic. Your daily needs are taken care of collectively by your parents and education institution. Unless you wish to continue in the campus of an education institution for further studies, from tomorrow onwards, you will have to face the world. Please remember, this world has never been a very kind place. It has all kinds of problems, social, political, economic. You will be exposed to them. You will have to chart out the course of your life with caution and skill. The mere academic knowledge which you have acquired so far, however brilliant your performance has been, will not necessarily assure you a safe passage to the course of your life. But the knowledge which you have acquired so far will certainly afford you some basic equipment in facing the world. The only way to handle the world is to be of utility to the world. If your knowledge and intelligence are indispensable to the world will not trouble you. On the other hand, the world will seek you. Therefore, make sure that you are indispensable to the world. How does one make it? By constantly honing the skills, by constantly observing the ways of the world, its needs, and understanding how you can make yourself indispensable in such a situation. But at the same time, you must also remember that you have duties and obligations to the humanity at large and to the immediate society to which you belong. Please remember that we are the beneficiaries of the toils of the previous generations. If Newton had simply eaten up the apple which fell on his head without bothering himself to inquire as to why he did not shoot off into the space but fell on his head, we would not have been enjoying the benefits of the modern science, the aeroplanes, the computers, the modern medicine, so on and so forth. Therefore, if we have benefited from the wisdom of the previous generations, which is the product of intense inquiry and hard labor, we in our turn need to contribute to something for the welfare of the future generations. Otherwise, we would simply become thieves and misappropriators of the labor of the previous generations. Remember that no society respects thieves and misappropriators. Be contributors and servers. The society will seek you and respect you. Addressing this gathering at Guntur, in the context of what I have said earlier, I am only reminded of Mettu Seshavathani, who was a teacher at Visakhapatnam in the mid-19th century. In 1860s, astronomers of the Western world were studying solar events like eclipses and passage of equinoxes. A French astronomer, Pierre-Jules Janssen, who observed spectral straps on or lines formed on the orb of the sun, discovered them to be helium. Such a discovery was made by him standing atop a 3-storied building with his huge telescope in this Guntur town. Johnson's choice of Guntur was not accidental. It was because of Seshavadhani. Seshavadhani was an amateur astronomer whose forefathers were Indian astrologers. He made elaborate calculations based on the past occurrence of solar eclipses spreading over 1100 years and predicted that there was going to be a solar eclipse on the 18th August, mind you, we are on the 17th today, 18th August 1868, which could be best observed from Guntur. That information was passed on to the Vijayanagaram Maharaja's observatory at Visakhapatnam sometime in January 1865 by Avadhani. The information was subsequently published in an obscure journal for amateur astronomers. It was this information which prompted Johnson to choose Guntur. Avadhani's prediction had nothing connected with the supernatural forces. It was a result of painstaking study of the movement of the planets. Unfortunately, barring Johnson's references, Avadhani is perhaps forgotten by this country. I am informed by one of my friends that Avadhani has written a book on the early history of Eastern Ganga dynasty, apart from his interest in the astronomy. The role helium plays in the modern science, perhaps, is better known to you students of science than me. There's one more personality who I would like to remember on this occasion, another Telugu of 20th century, Yellaprakada Subbarao, the biochemist. A lot of us today know something called chemotherapy in treating the patients of cancer. The roots of such therapy are in the researches of Yellaprakada Subbarao. One afternoon, he discovered a light purple-colored fungus growing on the bark of a tree. His passion for the study of fungi over a period of time led to an original theory on the energy sources of cells, which eventually culminated in chemotherapy. Subbarao's intense study of Ayurvedic plant taxonomies and extensive travels in the coastal districts collecting samples of plants, leaves, fungi, etc. was under the guidance of one Mantha Subramanya Dikshitulu. Subbarao graduated from Madras Medical College and later moved on to Harvard Medical School, where he earned his PhD. He made a tremendous contribution. Though he died a premature death in 1948, the research commenced by him was continued by two of his students, George Hitchings and Gertrude Elian, who shared the Nobel Prize for medicine in 1968. Subbarao was a Gandhian and a humanist. He was politically articulate and stood up for the rights of the African Americans. I mentioned these names because they are people who contributed to the welfare of the humanity, try to belong to that class. I'm sure each one of you would have noticed that the recent developments by the conspiracy of certain historical events, all of us find ourselves suddenly in a new state of Andhra Pradesh, and we are not sure of our own capital. Certainly, the development level of the state is not in tune with the potential of the human resources available in this part of the country. Your generation is given a challenge to build a new and vibrant state. Take up the challenge and emerge as heroes and victors. My dear friends, my convocation address printed comes to an end with this, but I have not concluded my convocation address. I concluded with a short story which I heard some 38 years back when I was leaving the Andhra University. When our batch was leaving the university, we had a formal get-together with our professor, late B.S. Murthy, who also belonged to Guntur originally. And on that occasion, we wanted him to address us. He gave us a story. I'll repeat it for you. The story goes something like this. When God created humanity, He assigned lifespans to each one of the species on the earth. He gave 100 years of lifespan to various animals, horses, donkeys, monkeys, dogs, so on and so forth. But for human beings, God assigned only 25 years of a lifespan. Human beings are very rational beings. We are very intelligent. Therefore, we quarrel with everybody. We argue with everybody. The human beings started quarreling with the God, saying that you are a very unjust creator. You have given 100 years of lifespan to all these useless animals and gave me only 25 years. God said, well, look here, I gave whatever I have, I don't have anything more. But I'll give you one concession. You can go request any one of those other species. If somebody is willing to part with a bit of their life or their lives, take it. So the human being started his search for extending his longevity. In the process, he came across a horse first. So he went and asked the horse, what are you going to do with this 100-year life span? Why don't you spare a bit of it to me? The horse thought over and said, all right, anyway, what am I going to do with this 100 years? So I give you 25 years. Man collected 25, his lifespan became 50. Then he came across a dog. He made the same request again, collected another 25 years. Then he came across a monkey. Once again, he repeated the request. The monkey was generous, gave him another 25 years. Eventually, man ended up with a 100-year lifespan. Then the fool should have kept quiet. He went back to God and once again told him, look here, you are such an unjust creator. Even those animals which you have created are far better than you. They were more charitable, they were more generous. Each one of them gave 25 years of their lifespan to me, and now I have a full 100 years. And God smiled and told the man, and my dear girl students, remember this story was created by a male chauvinist society. It only spoke about man, not about woman. But unfortunately, it applies to you also today. God smiled and said, remember, only for the first 25 years you will live like a man, includes a woman. Second 25 years you will work like a horse, carry all sorts of load on your shoulders. Third 25 years you will bark like a dog. Last 25 years you will gibber like a monkey and be laughed at by others. After narrating this story, Professor Murthy raised his voice and said, boys, of course it was all boys class in those days for us, it's time to work like horses. Get out of this university campus, he said. And I pass on the message to you, it's time to work like horses. I wish you all the best.